Hey, it's Sandy and Alex, and we just stopped by one of our favorite farm stands to pick up some vegetables to go with dinner, and I figured I would take you guys from beginning to end on just a simple side dish that we like to make. I'll take you through a quick... Well, you know what, I'm not going to walk through because they're closing, but it's a very old-fashioned farm. Everything from flowers, all organic vegetables. Hey, Chupacabra sighting tour is $400 at your own risk. Here's Alex waiting in the car for me with the bag of veggies on the seat. Anyway, we usually buy our zucchinis and squash and all of that at our favorite strawberry stand. But we went there first and they were out for the day. They sold out. So this is in the next town over on the way home. So yeah, it's a really pretty place out here. It's an educational farm. They do a lot of teaching. So we're going to head home now, and we're going to make Beth's Nacho Chicken and a big dish of zucchinis and squash and onions. And we're just going to show you basics in case there's someone out there that needs a different way to cook some vegetables. So we'll be back in a few minutes from home. Okay, so now that we're home, I'm going to show you all the vegetables we bought. These are some little onions that Alex really likes in his salads. Some yellow crookneck squash, some little green summer squashes, a couple of different kinds of zucchinis. This is just a yellow zucchini, I think it's what it's called. These always remind me of little ghosts for some reason. Pac-Man. And some red onions. So I'm going to cut all these up, and I'm going to show you what we're making for dinner real quick too. Okay, we're back. So we're going to make vegetables, brown rice, and Beth's Nacho Chicken for dinner. And I figured I'd just show you how you can throw it all together pretty fast. First thing I want to do is cook the chicken because it's going to take the longest of the three things that I'm making. So go ahead and come a little closer, Alex. First thing you want to do is spray a rimmed cookie sheet so any of the juices that come off the chicken stay on the pan and don't go in your oven. I bought a bag of chicken breasts, and I thought there was going to be 6 in there, because usually for 2.5, 3-pound bags, there's about 6 chicken breasts. There's not. These were the biggest chicken pieces I've ever seen. 2.5 pounds were 3 chicken breasts. Look at this. This, I don't know if you can tell in perspective, this is about 10 inches long and about 7 inches wide. It's huge. So obviously it's going to be, the chicken breasts are going to be shared probably a half per person. Okay, so we put those on the sprayed cookie sheet. The next thing you want to do is put some sour cream on each one. I take it out of the container when I do this because I don't want to cross-contaminate any of the raw poultry into the sour cream. Not a good thing, correct, Alex? Mm-hmm. You're not too talkative tonight, are you?
I'm tired.
Okay. So this was the birthday dinner that my husband requested. Happy birthday, Joe. Don't need exact measurements on this. This is one of those dinners that, I don't know, for a while we were making it a couple of times a week. Right now, it's been a couple of weeks since we've had it, but it's definitely a favorite in our house. Okay, it's nice and simple. And the acids in the sour cream break down the chicken breast and make it really tender and moist. The next thing you put on is some salsa. We like paste picante sauce medium. This time, Target's brand was cheaper, the market pantry, so we're trying it for the first time. But I really think it's made and distributed by Pace. It looks exactly the same chunkiness and everything else. And smells just like it. And salsa's salsa. How bad could you really screw it up? That was tough, yeah? Okay. Then I crushed up about a lunch baggie size of tortilla chips. And these just get sprinkled on top of the salsa and sour cream. on the chicken. Okay, I have too many of these. I don't like wasting stuff. And last but not least, I have some Mexican cheese blend. You know, it's 4 cheeses together that goes right on top. And I have about a cup here. So a cup between about 6 servings of chicken. Sounds about right to me. Maybe a little less. But I know these guys like it cheesy, so I'll probably just pour the rest of this back in the bag. So maybe it was 2/3 of a cup that we used. Anyway, this is going to go in the oven on 350 degrees until you insert a meat thermometer in it and it tells you that it's proper temperature for chicken. I think it's roughly 45 minutes if the chicken breasts are thawed. If they're frozen, it's closer to an hour. And I believe the temperature, I don't have my thermometer out, is 160 to 165 degrees for chicken breast. We'll be back. Okay, the next thing we're going to make is brown rice. My family has a big thing for Mahatma rice, especially Alex.
Show them the cup.
The cup? Someone must be using the cup. It's not up
The
here.
cup's over there.
Okay. Anyway, he even has a Mahatma rice cup to drink out of. So there is a tried and true way for making rice without having to measure anything with a cup or spoons or anything like that. What we do, I was taught this in a sushi class many years ago. You can come closer if you want.
Oh.
And I'm just going to talk through this. You pour the rice in roughly 1 knuckle. So if I put my finger in, I want the rice to go to my first knuckle, which is just where this goes to. What I do next, you can come back up if you want. What I do next is I rinse the rice 3 times, and then I add enough water to reach to my second knuckle. That's all the proportions you need. That's all you need to do. I put the lid on, and I put it in the rice cooker, and I set my timer for 10 minutes, or just mentally know that I need to soak the rice for at least 10 minutes before I turn it on. So once I put it in there, hit the button, it does everything else for me. No measuring, no timers, nothing. So that's how you make a perfect pot of rice. Okay, Alex wanted me to show you the next step on the rice, since I just talked about it, but I didn't show you. So here's the rice, and it's been rinsed 3 times, and I'm not sure how well you can see it, but the rice is up to the first knuckle, and the water is up to the second one. And like I said, I'll let this soak for about 10 minutes. Once it's done, it can sit in the rice cooker and stay hot until the rest of the dinner's done. So this is the easy second step to do. If you don't have a rice cooker, I would just follow the directions on the back of the bag on how long to cook it on the stovetop. It's very simple that way too. I would make sure and use a non-stick pot, because rice is really hard to clean out of other pots, in my opinion. So that's I love rice cookers or non-stick pots to do it with. The next thing we're going to be doing is chopping up all those lovely vegetables we showed you from the farm. And we'll be back. One of the biggest tips I can give you when serving up vegetables like this for dinner is to cut the pieces. You can go back down if you want. Cut the pieces into manageable sized chunks. This was a pretty big zucchini, and cutting off the big one just would have been awkward and difficult. So I cut it in half, and then I cut it down into quarters. As long as all of the vegetables are the same thickness, they'll cook at the same rate, with these squash and onions, that is. If you're adding something like carrots to it, you would probably want to go a little thinner than the zucchini, because they're a more dense vegetable. And if you have things like mushrooms, they're very light, so you could even keep them whole or just cut them in half. And a sharp knife is always key.
How long have you had that knife?
I have had this knife since Dad and I got married, so February of 1987, so 24 years. And
Must be a good knife.
it's a very good knife. It's a Henkel's knife, and to be honest, it's only been sharpened maybe 2 or 3 times, and this knife cuts through stuff like it's nothing, like it's melted butter.
Cuts through metal.
Well, probably not metal, but that's why this kind of knife is like $200. We've had butcher blocks with cheaper sets of like steak knives and stuff, and the 3 knives that we got as a wedding present, the 3 Henkel's knives, like the 12-inch chef that I have here, the 8-inch chef, and the paring knife, have stood the test of time. They've outshined every other knife we've ever had.
Do you remember who got them for you?
Yes, I do.
Who?
It was Dad's boss, Harry and Robin Shear.
Mr. Jangle got your Henkel's knives?
No, Mr. Shear got my Henkel's knives. Anyway, so I'm almost done cutting this. I'm going to show you how I cut, personally, this little oddball space alien squash, and how I cut onions. If you're not bored to tears already. Okay, so the little space alien guy. Like I said, it looks like a Pac-Man ghost. And I can't think of how the Pac-Man song goes, Alex, can you?
No, I bet Johnny knows.
Probably. Anyway, I cut off the top and the bottom first, and then cut it in half. And it gives me 2 workable pieces that have a sturdy base, so it's not going to slip around and I'm not going to cut myself. These have a very mild flavor and pretty much go with any other vegetables that you want to prepare them with. I don't bother peeling them. I just give them a quick wash when we get home from the farm with them. And, I like to buy the vegetables daily or every other day during this time of year. Because there's nothing like getting organic fruits and vegetables straight from the farm, picked the same afternoon, and sometimes they're even still warm from the sun by the time we get home. And if you haven't had farm fresh vegetables, you're missing out. Because once you've had them, if you go back to the grocery store to buy them, what's your opinion, Alex, on flavor?
They're poopy.
They are poopy. Okay, so I cut off the top and the bottom, and I peel off the outer layer of the dried skin. Cut it in half, once again, to get my stable working surface. This combination of vegetables, the squashes and the onions, we have almost nightly. I'd say a minimum, 5 or 6 nights a week, we have this combination. And I don't think any of us get tired of it. When the wintertime rolls around, we end up having more carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. But anywhere May or June through October, this is what we have. And we'll be back.